right, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
So you're leaning. Are you going to be leaning in the whole time?
No. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Well, I might get close.
There's no wrong. There's no wrong.
No, I might just. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go.
Is this how this is going to begin?
This is how it's going to begin.
Just trying to figure this out.
It's going to be us talking about how we're going to be sitting. I think that's how. I think that's how it starts.
I think you're sitting very well.
Thank you.
Good sitting, Zach.
Thank you.
Good sitting.
Thank you. From a talent agent, that's pretty nice.
There you go.
That's pretty great.
You got that down.
I got that. At least I could put that on my resume right there. Okay. Well, hey guys, we are here today. Welcome to the Come Up. First off, we are here today with Blair Taylor, and I want to go ahead and say to all the Karens out there, no, today we are not going to speak to the manager. We're going to speak to the talent agent. Sorry, Karens. You get that?
Karens?
Did you get that? You got that? No,
didn't get
Karen.
that.
It didn't land. See, I got to do that every single time.
Didn't land.
Yeah, you know about Karens.
Can I get a manager,
Yeah,
please?
I'm making Karens a better place for Karens.
You're
A better word
very
for Karen. I'm very thoughtful for them.
You are very thoughtful.
Okay, well, I want to tell you, Blair is a very hardworking, fast-paced, quick-witted talent agent. He is a celebrity broker as well. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Blair is one of the best in the business and best to ever do it. But he'll go ahead and he's a humble guy.
I agree, 100%.
Okay, did I say
Keep
humble?
going.
Did I say humble too quick? He started as an advertising major at the University of Wisconsin and then turned his degree over 2 decades of being a talent agent. Blair works with one of the top, or a lot of the top tier of Los Angeles in talent, and including the Kardashians, pretty much all of them.
That's right.
He also works with 2 of the Shark Tank guys,
Yep.
Robert and Kevin.
Yep.
And you've worked with a lot of different people all over, so we're going to get through that. I want to tell you, Blair Taylor is I'm excited to talk to you, Blair. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Zach. Good to see you.
Cool. Well, I want to go right off the bat. What is an agent? So everyone can understand what is the difference between a manager and an agent.
Perfect. Good question, because a lot of people confuse the two.
Yeah.
So an agent's job is to respond or react to a casting need, right? So whether it's a producer, a casting director, or a director who's looking for talent, they'll come to an agent, and we help solve a problem. Okay, that's really our goal, is to help solve a casting problem, help provide them options for whatever their situation is. Okay, a manager doesn't do that. A manager is they're like the umbrella that oversees the career of the actor, that helps set up meetings, that helps develop them, that helps coordinate all those little respective pieces of their career. In Los Angeles, a lot of managers overlap into the agent area, but it's really 2 specific roles. As an agent, we are licensed by the state of California. So we're here in LA, so I have to be licensed. Sure. I have to be bonded. I have to have contracts that are approved by the state of California. Managers don't have any approval process. They don't require any compliance through the state of California, and they operate differently. But their responsibilities are different as well.
Gotcha. So they're the mafia.
Basically, you said it. Zach.
I said it. I said it. Now you. I said it.
And the other thing they're not allowed to do is they're in the eyes of the state, they're not supposed to negotiate contracts.
Okay.
Agents negotiate. Managers are not.
So all the deals are filtered through you. So
correct.
Everything that they want to do, they can talk. They go out to the meetings. They go out and the managers are constantly working with the talent to make sure that they got their like what they want to do down. Once they get something on the books, they're calling you to make sure that this is going right.
That's correct.
Cool.
That's correct.
And you're following up with the client, and you're following. We'll get into this in a second. I wanted to go ahead and also some context about you, where you're from and where you grew up, and then also what was your family dynamic like?
So I grew up in the Midwest. And if you've ever been to Wisconsin in January, you'll know why I now live in Southern California.
Yes.
There's a little less snow here in January.
So
I went to school at the University of Wisconsin. I graduated in 1988. And 2 weeks after I graduated, I moved to California and moved out to Los Angeles. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no interest I didn't come out with the intention or purpose to be in the entertainment business. I thought I wanted to be in finance. In fact, my first job out here was in banking, believe it or not.
Wow.
And then I went on to become a stockbroker. But yeah, I mean, I grew up in the Midwest, and California is the place of dreams, right? You see it in movies and on TV shows, and you think, oh, I want to be out there. I want to be on those beaches and around all those pretty people. And it's so exciting to think of moving to California. So that was the draw for me, was to leave, a wonderful little town in Wisconsin and come out to the big city.
And what gets you into entertainment specifically? What you're saying financing was like one of those like things you were interested in,
Yeah.
but then who and how did the entertainment industry come about?
So it's a great question because I used to be a stockbroker, right? So a stockbroker, the responsibility of a stockbroker is to really sell an idea, the idea of security and safety and financial freedom, right? That you're selling something that is not tangible. And what I do now is really the same thing. I sell a personality. Really personality is the thing. If you think of it, attaching a celebrity or a non-celebrity to a product, right? You're selling a feeling, a vibe that they give off.
Right.
So it's also something that's very intangible. Both jobs are really the same. They're sales jobs. And in both cases, I sold something that you can't really touch and feel, right?
Were you good at that? Were you better at selling, or like at the time, were you like selling well, or like were you learning how to sell things better, or were you like enjoying? Because you're such a people person. You're
Right.
you're charismatic, and you're like you connect with people, especially me. I mean, we've spent the last hour together while I set all this up.
Yeah,
But
we were supposed to start this 2 hours ago.
literally, is selling people easier than selling products for you?
No, not at all. Well, for me, selling is selling, right? It just happens to be, I'm just really good at it. And you learn how to do it. Like when I was a stockbroker, you go through training and you have to understand what makes people, tick and how they respond and how to overcome their objections and how to listen, right? And so as long as you have that skill, you can apply that skill anywhere. Right? Whether you're selling cars, whether you're selling timeshares, whether you're selling homes, or whether you're selling people.
Yeah.
I say that basically if you think about it, I sell people, which makes me kind of a pimp.
You are a pimp.
Right.
You are a pimp. If
I'm
I've
just
ever
a
met a
legal-
pimp,
I'm just
if
a
I've
legal-
ever met a pimp, it's
I'm
you.
just a legal pimp. I sell people. Yeah.
That's great. Let's talk about early beginnings, because when you start getting into selling people,
Yep.
you work at the Abrams Talent Agency, right?
Right.
And that was your first start into the agency world, and then you go into actually, I kind of want to break that up.
Okay.
What was Abrams like? Because that's a big world.
Yeah. So let me tell you how that started. So a friend of mine, before I was an agent, right, had said, you'd be a really good agent. I think this is right up your alley. And, it got me thinking, and I thought, this sounds like it could be a lot of fun. That friend of mine made an introductory meeting to someone who was an agent at Abrams Artist Agency. His name was John Paradise. And I called him up and I said, I'd love to take you to lunch and pick your brain and learn about what you do. And for me, it was just an opportunity to learn, right? And we went to lunch. And by the time that lunch ended, he had offered me the job as his assistant. Said, I will fire my assistant and I will bring you on.
Wow.
And I will make you my my full-time assistant. And from there, I went through the training program. I come on in.
Come in.
Come in. No, you got to go around.
You got to go to the... Yeah.
Got to go around. This is what happens when we work out of the house, is your spouses come home and they interrupt the interview.
Yeah, I mean...
Right?
Come on.
So he'll go right upstairs. So
Oh, you're good.
we don't. He's too pretty to be on camera.
Yeah, we don't have him in hair and makeup yet. So
No, wait. You offered hair and makeup.
yeah, so I'm so sorry. I didn't tell you about that. She
so-
just left.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that's why you look good. And I'm like,
so sorry.
So, do you want to wait for him to?
Well, we should tell him, because I think he's gonna stay outside.
Here he comes.
There you go.
There he is.
Hi.
This is Zach.
Hi,
This is
Zach. Nice to
Jason.
meet you.
Okay, we're on. So can you just go upstairs, or be off? You can be in the living room or off camera.
Unless you know sign language and want to do the sign portion of this,
I'll be out of here.
Thanks, honey.
Cool.
Where do you want to?
Okay, so let's go back to where you first started. You started at Abrams, correct?
Correct.
So where does this all start?
Perfect. So So actually, before I knew that I even wanted to be in the business, a friend of mine set up a meeting with an agent at Abrams Harris Agency.
Yeah.
And I reached out, asked him if he would go to lunch. We went to lunch, and hour and a half later, I am being offered. Jay, you're in the camera line. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I didn't know.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, can you just find where you're going to go, honey?
Yeah, give me 30 seconds.
I mean,
That's your guest star of the show.
this is my. He does own the house with me, so he is entitled to.
He's
be
entitled to be in the back of the show.
Here. As long as you're out of that, like you could be there, honey. Just don't be in by the stove, in that angle.
Got it. Actually, hold on a second. No, I'm good.
Okay.
We're going back to that exact question.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take it back to where you started. So you started at the Abrams talent agency, correct?
Right.
So how did that all start?
So I had been. Oh my god! It's fucking Groundhog Day around here.
And I'm gonna do it again.
I know.
No,
Go on.
just go into it because I'll cut it straight to you.
Okay. I got to think.
This is supposed to be
This
a
is
wholesome
really-
life story.
Right. It just... Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready. It's on you.
Don't do this.
This. I'd be horrible at SNL for this reason. I'd be staring, right next to. We got this.
So it all. I don't know why I'm doing this. Okay, hold on, Jason. I'm so mad at you right now.
And he's in the closet. He just walked in.
Oh my God, Jason!
It's amazing.
This.
You're not even filming right now.
Hurry up, honey. Seriously, please. We're so behind.
There, go for it.
So it all started when I was invited to have lunch with an agent at Abrams Harris Agency. So we went to lunch. An hour and a half later, after talking to him, he had actually offered me a job as his
Oh, wow.
assistant.
Yeah.
He said, I'll fire my assistant, I'll bring you on. And suddenly I was kind of thrown into it, right? So I started at Abrams Harris Agency in their mailroom program, really.
Yeah.
This is at a time, Zach, where we didn't have email. I don't even know if we may have had fax machines.
Yeah.
Right? So everything was photocopied and handwritten, and scripts were hand delivered. And
Yeah.
we would have to drive to all the actors' homes to drop off their scripts. I mean, it's a very different business now, right? Because everything can be done on here.
Yeah,
nowadays, right?
that's a whole nother question I have later on.
Yeah.
Another episode.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, but back then it was very hands-on. So you had to be hands-on every aspect of agenting when you were an assistant. And that agent at the time, John, he was a commercial agent, and he really wanted to start a hosting division. So he pulled me aside several months into being his assistant, and he said, listen, I'm going to start this hosting agency on the side, but I want you to handle all my commercial work so that we can get the work done, but I can focus on developing this other part of the agency.
Right.
So I said, sure. And so I was thrown in it as an assistant even earlier than most assistants are. And within a year, I was a full-time agent at Abrams Harris Agency, which at the time was one of the largest bi-coastal agencies
Huge.
in the country.
Huge.
Abrams Harris Agency ultimately changed their name
That's right. Okay. Yeah.
to A3. So
A3,
now it's
that's
called
right.
A3.
I know that. That's right. A3.
And so I was there 5 years. Over the course of the 5 years, not only did I manage all this commercial territory, but then I started working side by side with this other agent, John Paradise, in the hosting division. And no one at the time really had hosting agencies or hosting agents. It was kind of new, right?
Yeah.
But this was when HGTV started and Discovery Channel started. And so all these networks were coming up that needed hosts. So it was actually, I give John credit, it was his idea to start a hosting division.
You didn't know anybody else was doing that at the time?
No one.
Nobody else?
No one.
Wow. But there was a need for it, clearly.
For sure.
But it was merged in with other agencies, correct? So Or like, sorry, agents were like doing that work, but there wasn't like specific niche of the hosting world, right?
Correct.
Cool.
It started. People started to do that, and now a lot of agencies do have hosting divisions.
Right.
The thing that's really interesting is when you think of hosting, you generally think of game shows and like I said, HGTV designers, but a lot of hosting is really product and service related. It's Home Shopping Network, it's QVC, it's infomercials, it's corporate industrial work. And that work is far, in my opinion, there's far more work in that area than there is in the other area, right?
Right.
But the more glamorous part really is to be the host of On Extra or Entertainment Tonight. So John, who I worked with, said to me that he wanted to do that glamorous stuff, and he basically told me, I want you to do the product service hosting, which was the less exciting. And that's where my specialty started. And I started, doing the infomercial work and commercial endorsement work, 25 years ago. 4 years into our relationship at Abrams Arts Agency, we both left. We left the same week. I ended up going to a place called Commercial Talent.
Right.
He started his own agency. When I got to Commercial Talent, which was a very well-known commercial agency, still is today.
Yeah.
They welcomed me with open arms and said, "Do what you want to do. Do what you need to do."
Right. And now you had the host division of that was what you did. Like you
Primarily, yeah.
that.
I did a lot of commercial work at
Yes.
Commercial Talent because there's an overlap, right? So in the product service area, there's a lot of overlap. Whether you're the host on an infomercial where you're selling a blender or you're selling a product through a 30-second commercial, there's a lot of similarities, right, in those worlds. The production companies can be the same. The casting people sometimes are the same. So I really worked in both those areas, and I still work in both those areas today.
It's great. And so then you end up building your skills over there on top of the fact that you already had it from Abrams, but Commercial Talent was one of those things that you were getting everything correct, and you were building clientele, and you were meeting all the right people specifically in this niche. Then you end up negotiating. Was this under Commercial Talent, the Isaiah Mustafa?
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah.
No way. And you put that together.
Yeah.
That is one of the biggest things of all time. I mean, so tell me about that. How did that happen?
So for those people that don't know, Isaiah Mustafa became the face of Old Spice. The big campaign where he's like, "Hello, ladies, I'm on a horse. Look at me."
That's right.
The man your man wants to be, I think, was the name of the campaign.
Right.
So we did that.
The man your man can smell.
Oh, is that what it is?
Can smell like?
It smelled like, right.
The man your man can smell like.
And that took off. I mean, that put him on the map. Within weeks of that campaign coming out, he was sitting on the couch next to Jay Leno. He was a guest on Ellen DeGeneres, her show. I believe he ended up getting a theatrical deal with NBC after that.
What was the pitching process of that? Did you pitch him, or was that somebody? Was your one of your clients?
So if I remember right, because this was
in 2010.
Ago. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
13 years ago.
It was a while ago.
Yeah,
I think the casting was happening over the Christmas holiday, the end of December, and they put out a casting notice. He had gone in for it. He didn't know what to do with the character, so he just kind of created this character, which you now know is the character in the very kind of campy, uncomfortable, studly version,
exactly.
And but I remember coming back after he'd gone in over the holiday, and then once we came back in January, I remember the casting director saying, "Oh, we're still looking," as if they didn't even know what they wanted. And I remember being a little disappointed, thinking, "Oh, he's so good, but why are they still looking?" And it turns out that, ultimately, as we know, they went with Isaiah. He became the face of Old Spice. Went on to do numerous commercials for them, appearances. The commercial was so famous. The commercials were so famous that there was copycats. It showed up in sitcoms and in other commercials, and it became part of pop culture, really.
It's great. I mean, he changed. I mean, and that was one of those game-changing commercials. I mean, That's a classic.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
great.
that's
That
a
was great.
classic. And then, so you're basically a talent broker, if I can say that correctly.
Yeah, I do both. So I have a talent pool. I have a pool of talent that I represent that I've worked with for years.
And who are some of those people?
A lot of those are no-name folks, right?
Yeah.
Those are people that just over the years have been my hosts. They've hosted the infomercials. They've hosted the industrials. They've done all of that, right?
Cool.
And then I have brokered all these celebrity deals.
Right.
So companies will come to me and say, listen, and this really came out of all of my work in the infomercial space. So over the years, the infomercial business and industry has kind of slowed down, right? People are not sitting in front of their TV anymore watching 28 and a half minutes of content through an infomercial.
Right.
They're watching everything on here.
Yep.
And the content has to be shorter.
It has to be
or
so much shorter.
It's got to be short and it's got to be attention grabbing.
Yes.
Right? So one of the ways you grab attention is through a celebrity.
Yeah, or great copy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course.
I'm thinking about the guy that created the no dye. Like he's the CEO and he like sits in a bathtub. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's like
Okay.
it's literally laundry detergent, and the guy's naked, and he's like, "I'm the CEO of this company, and I'm gonna."
I don't know if I know that one.
I'm gonna send it to you. It's incredible. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
The whole idea is to grip your attention and to get you in a couple minutes, and that's
even shorter.
right? But when you first started, like you said, it was long form,
Yeah.
and like. And we're going to get into this, but we have a mutual friend and connection, and Tom Jourden,
Yeah.
who hosts a bunch of different infomercials.
He's done everything.
Yeah, he's done it all.
Yeah.
But those were there was a moment where Fast Track to Wealth. I don't know if you know that one that he worked on, but it was an hour long like thing that he went through, and it was multiple different things where you do long form. Now it's not right.
Well, also we had all these cable stations or cable networks that had all this time, right? They didn't have their own programming.
Yeah.
So you had all this time. So companies would produce these half-hour, they were actually 28 and a half minute long infomercials.
Yeah.
And they would buy media time, right? And you had all these viewers sitting at home, flipping through their channels, and this is what they were watching, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have streaming services. We didn't have the internet in the way that we have it today. And so you really had the attention of the viewers. Now, when that started to change, right, and the content was now being replaced by programming that these networks were creating, and our distraction to our devices, the infomercial space slowed down. But all those production companies that were still working with all those products still needed to serve their marketers that they were working for. So then it became, well, let's not do an infomercial. Let's do a 2-minute commercial or a 1-minute commercial. We still know how to sell, but instead of using a host, now we're going to bring in a channel stopper, which is a celebrity.
Gotcha.
Right? So
Yeah.
then there became this shift to celebrities, bringing them in, and that way when you're going through 300 channels, if you see your favorite celebrity on the channel, you're likely to stop and say, well, what's this person doing? What's he involved in? What's she involved in?
Right.
So that's a channel stopper. So celebrities have seen and you see now if you turn on TV, even in commercials, infomercials, everything, it's very celebrity driven.
And that's what the client wants, right?
Yeah, and
They
it
all want.
used to never be that way.
Yeah.
It was never that way. Celebrities would never do commercials.
But now they all have their own tequilas and their own this and that, and everyone's
That's right.
doing their own commercials.
That's right.
Yeah, because they know that if they put their name behind it, the product will launch into a whole nother stratosphere.
Yeah.
Especially we saw during COVID, that happened a lot during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that TV makes money around the advertising, right?
Right.
So if the real money in television is made in advertising, why would you not want to be involved in the advertising aspect of it instead of the programming aspect?
For sure.
Right. So if you're a celebrity, you can be involved in a TV show, and you can, the days of making $1 million an episode, I think are over, right?
Yeah.
So you're not making money there. So where do you make the money? You have to make it, in another way.
Social media.
Social media, in product.
Yeah,
right?
product.
Yeah.
In product.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so you've done a lot of products. Like this is how did we get to this segue? Look at this segue right here.
Right on in.
Right on in there. So you have done a lot of products, and I have like a few listed, but I mean, and I know LifeLock, the oven, the pressure oven, the magic bullet juicer, right? I mean, the Tempur-Pedic mattress. You've worked on all the biggest products.
Yep.
So can you talk about kind of just like some of the, the clients that you have that you put in there, some of the things that, just what you work with, like how that works, how that goes about, how do you broker those deals, working with those clients?
Yeah. So I would say 15 to 20 years ago,
Yeah.
every time you turn on the TV, there was just, every station, infomercials. It was everywhere. And there was a point in time I would turn on the TV and I would have 4 or 5 clients on at any given time across various stations. It's not the most exciting part of hosting, right? But that became the niche that I formed. And because of that, all these production companies in the space knew that I had that talent. You're right.
You became the go-to guy for that specific.
The go-to guy.
Yes.
The go-to
for
guy.
Sure.
So there was a period of time where I was doing 1 or 2 deals a week, and it was just nonstop. And so every time you do a deal, you learn something new, right? And the talent, the more the talent participates in these programs, the more they have a track record of sales. So you mentioned Tom Jourden before, who.
The best.
We've placed on so many shows and they were successful, and an infomercial, the thing that's interesting about an infomercial is there's a call to action involved. So if I'm sitting at home and it says pick up the phone, call now, or order now, it requires me to take a very specific action. And that action is a metric which the marketers can use to identify whether or not an infomercial is successful. Because if people aren't picking up the phone, they're not buying, and we quickly learn that infomercial doesn't work. Right.
And now you have clicks.
Right. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's a metric that allows you to see, to track something. Right. Correct. It's a trackable feature. So in infomercials, that's really, really, really important. So if you have an infomercial that's been on the air that's been very successful, everyone knows it's because. If it's airing, it's because it's successful, right? You see a commercial on TV, you don't necessarily know, well, is that helping the brand too much? Well, with infomercial, you know directly if it's helping the brand, right? So when you, as a host, are involved in a show where that infomercial is successful and it's airing, then everyone else knows, oh, that person is attached to a successful show.
Yeah.
So production companies have bragging rights. Hosts have bragging rights. So the host values get to increase when they've been attached to successful shows.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. What I want to talk about the life of, the agent. And we talked, or I've heard you actually, I've heard you on another podcast, the late Wendy Cooper. Mm-hmm. You spoke about how, there's sometimes where it's not the typical 9 to 5, and you're a little bit outside of those, like that typical, typical hours of work. So what is a day in the life, and have you learned to set boundaries so that you're able to enjoy your own life?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because we are at the mercy of our phones, right?
We are.
I mean, there is no start and stop time. In fact, a lot of agencies now are getting rid of their offices and everyone's working from home.
Right.
Because if you have to be available all the time, then why require me to be in a office environment just a certain amount of that time, right?
Right.
So most agents I know now work from home. It is, I'll tell you, I wake up very early. I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I got the text. I got the 5:30 text.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So I'm up.
You're up.
I'm checking email. I'm responding to email. I take a break. I work best in little pieces throughout the day, because I know I have to be available really all day long.
Yeah.
Right. It's not one of those things where I'm going to open my computer, I'm going to work for 6 hours, and I'm going to close it. Never works that way.
Never.
Clients are working at night. They're working overseas. They're working in different time zones.
Right.
They're working on weekends. There's always stuff that comes up. Right. So we have to make ourselves available. However, you ask a really good question, which is about creating boundaries.
Yes.
I'm very good about creating boundaries
That's
with my
good.
clients. I'm always here for them, but they know that weekends and evenings are family time. I'm still always there for them, but if they're going to reach out during those periods, that it needs to be important.
Urgent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it needs to be important. They need to, I need to be able to shut that off to spend time with my family.
For sure. Was that something that you? Boundaries are something that like a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people don't give. They don't understand how that even works. So
Yeah.
was that a learned thing over time, or did you kind of? Because like for me, if you called me and I was on right now in
Yeah.
my career, and you called me at 9:00 at night, and I'm sitting there watching a movie with friends, I'm answering your call.
Of course.
Right. But and there's an urgency for me. But
Yeah.
was there a time where your career mattered and there's like so much going on in your career that you didn't really have those boundaries? Or is that a learned trait?
I don't know if it's learned or if it's a reward you give yourself over time.
Right. So over time you have gotten better at that.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that still have trouble with boundaries.
Yeah.
And I think that's some of that is fear. Oh, I have to do this. I have to respond. I have to do that. Whatever that is. I don't feel that way.
No, because it will happen. If
It'll
it's supposed to happen, it's
Listen,
going to happen.
We're not doing life-saving surgery here. That we're just talking about a commercial or it's not that urgent in the big picture, right?
For sure.
There's a lot of things going on in the world that require very immediate
Right.
response. Getting back to an actor about what they should wear for an audition.
Sure,
It's
sure.
not one of them.
But for me, as a creative, I have a lot of arbitrary deadlines. Like I put in my head how I want things to go down and how things should be going. And maybe this is like, there's a different question that I wanted to ask, but adhering to like those, because you work with a lot of different creatives, or there's people pulling you in all directions, asking for you at all times of the day.
Yep.
You have learned to like, it's something you said, like it's a treat to you to be able to spend time with your family.
For sure.
So to learn to slow down.
Yeah, the other thing that I think actors have a tendency to do is they allow other people to control their. Actors run a business. When you're an actor, you're the CEO of your business. And when you're the CEO of your business, you have to create your own. You have to create your own rules, and most actors don't. They let other people create their own rules.
Right.
An actor may have a goal, but they don't necessarily structure that. In a way where they become accountable to themselves, because that's really hard to do, right? So once you're hired to be on a job and then that producer is putting these rules on you, then you have something to follow. But a lot of people don't know how to create rules just for themselves, right?
Right.
And I think that's, I think more often than not, people have a hard time with boundaries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to go ahead and tell you a story. I know we've talked about this, just recently, but I wanted to, for the people that are listening to this,
Oh, no.
I want them to know this. There are good days, there are bad days, and then there are also like, you're working and you're constantly on that grind.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first met you, I'm assuming this is like one of your busiest days. But I got worked into the schedule to come and see you because I wanted to be I want to work. I want to be an actor, and I came into the commercial talent agency and I sat with you, and I remember you saying, you stopped me and you said, before you even speak, and I said, okay, sit down. Before you even speak, I'm not going to represent you.
That sounds like nothing like I would say.
Nothing. What you said, it was cool because it set the tone for what was about to happen. I think a lot of what you do is you set the tone for what is about to happen for anybody on the commercial side or the client side,
Yep.
or the celebrity or whatever the talent side.
Yeah.
So you set a lot of tones for what it is. And by the way, that was a really amazing experience for me because not only that, what we talk about setting tones, but like also it was an amazing experience for me because I learned that there's you with your bandwidth and everything you have going on, you have to be upfront with people so that you're not going to be taken advantage of. But even more so, I learned that there's so many more ways that I can learn how to get into this industry, as far as like finding casting directors and learning names of people. And I was a newbie, so you're right to not hire me. By the way, thank you for not taking me on.
It's really interesting because I believe in. I don't like to live in the gray, right?
Yeah.
This ambiguous kind of space. And I try to be as clear as I can be with people. And sometimes it's at a fault. Trust me, I'll be at a restaurant and they'll be like, how's your food? I'm like, it's not that good.
Yeah.
But you asked me, like, I'm going to just tell you. So I sometimes I'm honest to a fault, But like in the situation with you, to be able to say to you as you step into the place, into the office, listen, I'm not going to be able to represent you, which I'm sure I said in a much nicer way.
Yes, you were nice. You were nice.
It also lets you off the hook from you get to like let your guard down. You get to relax, and then we can just take, and I think we spent a lot of time together. I said no, and I think we ended up talking for an hour.
Yeah, we did talk for an hour. And to go further into that, you told me about, and this is the old school way, you'd go to the Samuel French bookstore and you get yourself the casting book, and you look at all the casting directors that are doing shows and what aligns with you.
Yeah.
And this was like good advice. I mean, you were talking about what shows would you see yourself in? And if you did see yourself in that, like, go see those casting directors. And you were in the nicest way saying, learn who they are, go to their panels, go to their events, go meet these people so that you could be more involved in that acting world. But right now you'd be just submitting me with 13,000 of the same looking guy that are already out there, and everyone's doing the same thing. So that having people of who you know is what makes it all worth it. So is that right? It's all about who you know?
I think it's important to who you know, because here's the thing is, if you're walking down the street and the top casting director in the city is walking by you, if you don't know who that is, you've missed an opportunity.
For sure.
And likewise, you might be the best actor, but if they don't know that, then you've both have missed the opportunity.
For sure.
Now, in LA, there's this many actors and there's this many casting people. So it's easier for this many people to try to know these many people instead of the other way around. So it's the actor's job to get in front of the decision makers.
For sure.
Right? Yeah, I mean, that's, and here's the other thing. I just want to go back to that meeting for a second.
Sure, yeah.
Is, as an agent, for me, I operate on this level, and I want an actor that meets me on my level. So they have to, and it's not always about being the best talent, but it's about coming prepared, understanding the business. I'm not here as a mentor to continue teaching you about your business. And a lot of actors want agents so the agent can help them. It's not the way it works. I don't get paid enough to do that for you.
Right.
I get paid, a percentage. You get paid the majority. So you have to step into the relationship with all that preparation, not prior to the preparation, right?
Right.
So if I ask someone, tell me some casting directors that you know, and they'll say, I don't know any. I'll be like, can you name any? I can't name any. Well, you're here way too soon. You haven't done your homework.
That's exactly where I was.
Yeah.
No, you're exactly right. And I think it's important to note that, like, when you're starting out, it's like you said, if you're not meeting that level. For me, I've met a lot of different managers and agents. That's clearly why we're here right now. But the number one thing is, while I'm like being repped and not officially, I've never really. I mean, a couple, and I'll get into that in another time. But
right.
While I'm being repped, it's like you have this, like, these people that are there for you on the back end of what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be putting on the full output so you can be the artist, so that they know who you are. Then you're handling all the back end stuff.
That's right.
And making sure you look good when they're going through it all.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always want the talent to look good, and we're there to support that. But if the talent doesn't even know how to look good or how do you be in this space?
Right.
That's not my job to teach them how to be.
Right.
Right.
I want to get into some of your clients right now, because it's it's impressive. Like, the people you are with are so impressive. Okay. So I want to talk about. Let's just get into the biggest one thus far. I mean, listed on IMDb, which we can talk about. Is IMDb accurate? Is that?
It is. IMDb is for those that don't know, it's a way to track the popularity level of a given person at a given point in time. And that's based on TV and movie, what's going on in TV and film.
Sure.
Right? So if you're not involved in that, you're not going to be popular. So, like Madonna might be popular, but she's not going to show up on IMDb as being popular because she's a singer and she doesn't do TV and film.
Right.
So it's really in the TV film space. It's not an accurate representation of who they are in the world of entertainment.
For sure. For sure. No, and it's yeah, exactly. So so when I look at your list of like the people that you're repping, and again, like they're not in any alphabetical order or any
That's
like
right.
order of like there are an order of popularity to their TV shows in right now.
Right.
But you have Kendall Jenner, you have two of the Shark Tank guys, then you have other hosts and people that have been doing this for a long time.
Yep.
Like let's talk about the Kardashians specifically. I mean, they're not all listed on there, but you said you've known Kris since before Keeping Up, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what's that relationship been like, and like how have you helped them over the years, the Kardashians?
So the thing that's interesting with that relationship was Caitlyn, prior to being Caitlyn, Bruce would do public speaking appearances, corporate gigs. And Bruce did a lot of infomercials,
Oh wow.
right? So Bruce was doing infomercials, and I remember doing a fitness infomercial that shot in Hawaii, and the producer said, I want Bruce and Kris. So I sent Bruce and Kris to Hawaii, and they co-hosted a fitness infomercial together. Now this was 25, 23 years ago. And from that point, I'd done a handful of things with Bruce, a few things with Kris, but at the time, like now, Kris was the manager. Now she's a mom-ager, but at the time she was managing her children.
mom-ager.
Her children were too young. Kim used to be a makeup artist. I think a makeup artist on the set of the infomercials.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. And so, I mean, all of the kids were too young to be in a show, and so I was dealing with mom and dad. Right?
Yeah.
And was very fortunate over the years to have done things with both Kris and Bruce, and then the kids grow up and suddenly there's a TV show called Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And I think we were the first season in, or they were the first season in, and I continued to do work I did something with Kim at the time and with Kris, and from there went on to do things with Kendall. I did a back to school campaign for Kylie when she was, I think, 9 years old.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
she was just little. And yeah, so it's been a relationship that, over the years, when things come up that are appropriate, we reach out and we do some stuff together. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. They're running billion-dollar businesses, plural. And so their desire, I think, to really step out with other products now is probably less than what it had been, because they're so attached to, Kendall's got 818, Chloe's dealing with Good American, Kim's got Skims, Kylie's got her line. So and Rob, I think, is selling socks, which, by the way, you have some nice socks on there.
Thank
today,
you.
my
I do. I got some mushroom socks.
mushrooms on your
Mushroom
socks.
socks. Have you ever had happy socks?
I have.
I don't want them to sue me or send me any money, but if you want to send me socks, we'll for both of us,
They're
that'd be
great.
great. But they're amazing. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll back off this.
Yeah, no, they're great.
We'll get off this Rob's socks.
Yeah, Rob's socks.
But no, it's cool. It seems like they all have their own products and they're all pushing their own things.
Yeah.
So how do you get them involved in other products that they didn't like conceptualize themselves? How do you pitch that?
It's hard now, right?
Yeah.
And I think really what it boils down to is, does it align with who they are? Kendall's beautiful, right? So I've done a couple of beauty related products with them. They really own that social media space,
Yeah.
I don't know where they are now, but at one point Kendall was 150 million followers. I mean,
They're all 150 plus.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So when you look at if you look at NBC, CBS, ABC, any of these networks, any given program, if you look at the Super Bowl, see the numbers the Super Bowl draws, they have more people that follow them. They can reach more people than the Super Bowl.
It's bonkers.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
The amount of and you look at like Justin Bieber and the Kardashians, and you look at like all those soccer players, LeBron James, these guys, their followers are so big.
Yeah.
So my question for you is like, can you leverage that And is that something that you leverage while you're working with other clients? Does the followers really matter to the money of everything too?
Good question.
Sure.
Here's where I think a lot of companies make a big mistake. There's a difference between being an influencer and having a lot of followers.
Because you can pay for followers.
Y-
Or some of them aren't even real,
well,
right?
Yeah, you could, but let's just assume
Difference between influencer
let's
and
just
followers.
assume they're all authentic.
Sure. Okay.
It doesn't mean if I follow a band, a singer, if I follow someone, that doesn't mean because they like a certain soup brand, I'm going to buy that soup. I don't follow them for that. I follow them for their music, for example, right? Some people have positioned themselves as actual influencers. I'm a parent of a 3-year-old. There are people on Instagram I follow for their parenting advice and guidance, right? So when they make suggestions like, hey, be aware of this, or you should look at this, or this is really good for their learning, or this is good for sleep, whatever that is, I'm going to follow that because I trust that relationship and what their purpose is. Their purpose is to help me filter through what I need to filter to best understand that environment so I can secure it. You know what I mean? So I can buy something what I need. Now, being a celebrity with a lot of followers doesn't mean I have influence, right?
No,
and that's really, really important. Having 150 million followers doesn't mean you're an influencer. It means you have 150 million followers, right?
Okay.
And
What means you're an influencer?
When I think there's action that's taken, when you influence a group of people.
Gotcha. Like you said, like the people that talk about parenting, they got it.
So
Follow.
I'll there's a lot of. I'll take Kendall for example.
Sure.
Right. So I am sure. I'm guessing on this. This is just an opinion here.
Okay.
My opinion is that she has a lot of young ladies that follow her because of the show, right? I'm sure there's other people that follow her because she's a runway model. I'm sure there's a lot of men follow her because she's gorgeous and she posts beautiful photos of her on the beaches, right? I see you nodding your head, right?
She's gorgeous.
She's gorgeous. So if she comes out,
You heard it here.
so if she has 150 million followers, and let's assume she has 50 million that follow her for the show, and 50 million that follow her because of her modeling experience, and then you have 50 million that follow her because they're male and they like the beauty aspect of
The
it.
appeal.
So if Kendall then is selling, let's say, lipstick, okay, well, all those men
Gone.
right? All the people that are watching Keeping Up might be gone. So you're taking when you appeal to so many people, who you're really ultimately appealing to in that group is much smaller, right?
Right.
Now, like a parent blogger, if I'm, Joe Smith daddy blogger, and that's exactly how I position myself. Everyone that's following him is following him because they want dad advice.
Right. And at some point that's going to change, and they're going to have to rebrand.
No,
and do something
but
different.
that's their niche.
Yes. Yeah. Of course.
Right.
Of course.
So if they're and let's say as the daddy blogger, they have 150 million followers. Let's just say they have 150 million followers. Well, if they are trying to sell that same lipstick, I have 150 million followers. Yeah, but they're all dads.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Not going to happen.
So my point being is having followers, and until you know why they follow, you can't claim to know that they will buy.
So you're very strategic about what goes into each one of these influencers. Like you have to be, because you have to know that a X number percentage is actually going to follow through this.
Yeah, and I think most companies don't think about that.
And you pitch off of that. Is that a number that you sometimes throw out there? You're like, I can't give you the exact number, but here's a percentage of that.
No.
Okay.
I would not. I don't
Never.
do that.
Sure.
I wouldn't do that. I
Sure.
wouldn't do that because
There are metrics to that, right? They know they know who are the men. They know who the keeping up is.
Yes.
And they have that.
They can track that.
Okay,
They can
cool.
track
Yeah.
that. But I think companies put too much emphasis on the value of a number of the followers.
Gotcha.
Right? That's all they care about. And they have this many followers. That's what you hear. They have this many followers. They have this. We don't talk about we don't talk about anything else except for the number of followers, right? So companies, and I see this all the time, we're looking for someone with at least 250,000 followers.
Yeah.
At least, well, it's just a number.
Yeah.
Like you can have 250,000 people that don't buy, or you can have 50,000 people and everyone is committed to buying.
Right.
Right. We've actually seen a shift from these talent that have big social media followings to micro influencers, and a micro influencer will have 50 or 100,000 followers, 200,000 followers, but they're committed followers. That's 200,000 people. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So if you can influence 200,000 people, that's much more valuable to a brand than let's just throw it out there to 100 million.
Right.
And just hope people buy when those.
For sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And now, I want to get into just the Taylor Talent Services is what's your company, right?
Yep, that's
Is that you by yourself, or do you have a partner? Or do you work with people?
So I started the company by myself 5 years ago.
Okay.
And when I started, and I just brought my hosts with me, and I was doing all this host work, and then casting directors would call me up and say, I know you have all these hosts. Why aren't you submitting them for commercials? Why aren't you doing commercial work with them? And I didn't have the bandwidth at the time to want to do that. So I reached out to a woman by the name of Shannon O'Dowd, and who I represented.
Oh, wow.
Who I trusted, who was smart, who's her own business person. She's really on her game. And I said, listen, you're I'm asking you first. Would you want to do this? And she said yes. So I brought Shannon on. She's been with me now 3 years.
Oh, wow.
3.5 years.
That's great.
And she really handles more of the commercial work. But Shannon is a media trainer, and she's worked with a lot of major corporations. And those corporations come to her. We need help. We need a spokesperson. We need, who do you have? So while we have two different areas of responsibility, there's a lot of overlap. We both help each other out. She was gone for a week this last week, so I covered for her, and I'm going to be going away for a couple of weeks here, and she's going to cover for me. So yeah, it helps to have someone to bounce something off from,
Right.
And to provide more options for your clients.
Is there a need for an assistant? And you started as like on somebody's desk. So is there a need for you to have somebody that's like that so that you can kind of?
We keep our numbers really small.
Yeah. How many? What's the right number?
For us, we have We have 220, I think.
220.
Yeah.
One of my interviews recently was 20. So 200.
That's probably a manager.
Manager. Yeah.
Very different rules.
No. Got it. Right? So they have it's boutique. Right?
Yeah.
But you're like, you have 220. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's low.
It's low.
Like when I was at my previous two agencies, they were well over 1,000.
Well, I keep seeing I'm going to re-reference IMDb. It's like I see on IMDb that there's like tons of people that are represented by this one talent agent or the biggest talent agent at CAA or WME or whatever. And I'm like, how deep of a relationship do some of these managers how deep of a relationship do these agents have with them if they represent 200 people at once? So do you feel like you have a very special connection with like over 50%, if not all of every single one of them?
Yeah, because that's our job.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's our job. We have to know a lot about them. And when you're sitting in front of a computer for 8-10 hours a day, I mean, I don't know how many people were in your high school. I graduated with 410.
I think mine was 700.
Did you know pretty much all of them?
No.
You did?
No.
You were.
This is not going to help the example at all. No. I came in midway through high school, like to this bigger public high school. But in my earlier one, I went to a private one, and it was 17 kids or whatever. Yeah, I mean, Yeah, of course you know
It's-
that, but
You can manage. Bad
Sorry,
example.
I'm sorry.
No. Wow.
yeah, 700 is a lot. You trust me, you don't want to sit.
But if you think of all the
That
people you know
graduation.
in your life, like to know, when I was at the previous two agencies, we had talent that exceeded 1,000.
Yeah,
I knew them all.
you knew every one of them.
Yeah. You know their wife's name.
You know, okay, that's what I was gonna say.
yeah,
Your kids, their wives, their favorite sports
No,
teams. No,
no.
okay,
But don't need to.
sure. But you do have like social events and stuff like that where you will all get together, or
It's, when a talent comes to you and they're saying, here's my career, help me with it, you connect on a much deeper level.
Right.
I mean, Jourden.
Tom.
I've worked with him for 25 years. I've been with him, like I vacationed with him and his family, been to graduations, birthday parties, shared, we've all shared family time together,
sure.
dinners. So it's just over the course of a career, that's what you build. That's why you asked me earlier about networking and who you know. Like, you have to know the casting people. You have to know the people that can hire. And I've had those experiences with those folks as well. I've dinners and, events with all those folks. But, our job is to know the talent too. That's our job. Because I'm selling a personality, I'm selling a feeling, I'm selling an attitude. So if I don't know how those people show up in the world, how can I position them to a casting director? So
Right,
that's
right.
That's why when we take a meeting with someone and we sit down, I hear helicopters.
I do hear
And we
helicopters.
welcome to Los Angeles, right? When we take a meeting, usually our meetings with the talent is a half hour or an hour. We learn a lot. I mean, we learn a lot. That's a lot.
They give a lot. They
we ask a lot. We jump in. What's this? What's this?
Yeah,
we want to know. We want to know what made you move to California. Where what's going on here? What's going on there?
Is there like moral questions too? Like, what do you think about this, or what do you know? Or you just
No.
okay, yeah. You just
Yeah.
get into who they like, what they're trying to do, and how they're trying to do
Yeah,
it.
you just get to know them. You really just dive deep right away.
That's cool.
so that
No,
you
that's
get to
really
know who
cool.
they
And
are.
in 30 minutes, you can kind of get if they're a good person, not a great person.
Yeah. And over time you learn things. I follow them on social media. They follow us, so I see when they just got married, or they just
Yeah,
got engaged, or they're going
yeah.
on vacation, or they just their kid just graduated from 6th grade.
Yeah.
I just saw that on Facebook today. Someone's like, "Oh, my kid just graduated from 6th grade," and I cried. Like, you get to know these people in a way that helps you serve them better.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And social media is such a good way to connect with
a
those
great way
people,
to do
for
that.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
I wanted to go ahead and there's 1.5 million questions I have for you, but I think this is a good time for me to ask you: Do your clients ever call you and say, "Blair, you changed my life," or "You're the best person I could have never asked for a better agent in my entire life"? Are there people that like will call you out of your day to like let you know those how they're feeling?
I've had people who have said to me, in fact, you said this to me when just yesterday, I think, when we were speaking, or the day before, like, you remembered the conversation, right? And, I have had people, I remember, I'll go back to the Isaiah Mustafa example.
Yeah.
Old Spice. He does Old Spice. I put thousands of clients on thousands of commercials, thousands, right? And they're not always the same. And every once in a while, one comes out and you're like, that's different, right? And that's one of those examples. I remember he ended up getting invited to The Tonight Show. Jay Leno was the host at the time. I went. It was over here in Burbank. I remember sitting in the green room and waiting, in our dressing room. And Jay comes in, introduces himself. And then the producer of Isaiah's segment comes in, introduces himself, and said, "Okay, and show's going to start, and at this time we're going to come get you," and walked us through what that process was. And I remember as a kid watching The Tonight Show, and the guests would always come around the curtain, like they get introduced by, when I was young, Johnny Carson, that went to Jay Leno, and either the curtain would open or they would come around. There's a curtain, there's a thing. They would come around from around back.
Of course.
Right? And so right before Isaiah went on, They escorted us to that spot.
Oh, wow.
And I remember being in that spot, and it was myself and Isaiah and I think another agent I worked with and Isaiah's girlfriend at the time. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna be a guest on the Tonight Show." And we were behind that curtain, and I felt it. Like, that was a big moment for me.
Huge.
And I remember we all kind of went, "Oh, this is a big deal," right? And they came back from commercial. Jay announced him, and he walked right out through that curtain. And I thought, I have chills thinking about it because that's iconic. That's
huge.
That's a thing, right? And it's amazing whether it's something that big or just simply calling someone to give them a booking. And, I had a client, she cried because she's like, "Listen, this money's going to help me open my theater that I've been trying so desperately to raise money. And this is going to help me do that."
It's huge.
Right.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's so rewarding. It sounds so rewarding.
It's rewarding because every booking, there's joy, right?
Yeah.
There's joy behind it. You're giving people a chance to, acting. People that are actors or artists have known since the time they were really little that this is what they wanted to do. Putting on little plays, doing little things for family over, Thanksgiving, and they do a little songs. They know that's just part of who they are. So when you get to feed that as adults for them, and you get to help them,
their inner child comes right out.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful to see that with people.
I wanted to do this for you because Tom is such a really good friend of mine. I'm segueing into a phone call that I want to make. I want to hear Tom's.
Oh my gosh.
I want to hear
Okay.
what Tom has to say about you. I figured now's a good time to just call him in, see what he thinks.
Yeah, and for those that don't know Tom, I mean, he's been on TV and film, but he has done so many successful infomercials over the years.
And Tom, for context, for me, has been somebody that is one of my dad's friends from growing up.
That's right.
From college. And not only that, but when I was 16, he was the one who was like, "Come work on this film. Come work on these sets." He introduced me to a world of different crew members. My fascination with lighting and film, my fascination with camera work, everything came from Tom.
Yeah.
And he's, over the years, been so helpful and just like making sure that I stay on top of, the stuff the dreams that I have.
He's a great mentor.
Yeah, he's exactly who he is. He is my mentor.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh,
okay,
my
we're
goodness.
calling him in.
Let's see if he answers.
Hello?
Tom.
Yes?
Hi, you are on the Come Up right now with Blair Taylor and I.
Hi, Tom.
Wait, Blair who?
Don't you dare pretend. This is his acting skills right here.
Uh-oh. How are you?
Hi, guys.
Hi, hey, we wanted to just talk with you for a couple minutes just about Blair, and I figured we've talked about him before, and you were the one who introduced me originally, so I figured you have a lot to say about him. I wanted to ask you just how you guys met in the first place and how long ago that was and where you guys, how that all got started.
Well, can I first ask, is this live and I could say anything I want without it being cut out?
Well, don't start putting cuss words on here, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm so sorry I missed my intro to hear all the great things you said about me. But that's
It was a
okay.
very short intro,
Yeah,
Tom.
we just brushed by it. It was a little brush
Okay.
over.
Okay. Well, let's see. Gosh, I think I met Blair. Oh my goodness, it's probably coming up on, is it almost 30 years? It's over 25 years.
About
for
25
sure.
years, yep.
Yeah. And I can remember him sitting at his desk there at Abrams Artist, and super nice guy, and who would ever know that after that many years our lives would be so intertwined, and they have. I don't remember your question, but I'll talk about them.
No. That's perfect. So now he talks about how you guys have not only, like you just said, your kid, and he's gotten to come over to the family, to the house, and see, he knows your dog. He knows he's gone out to dinner. He's traveled together. I mean, you guys have had such a relationship. So how important is that as an actor or as talent to have that relationship with your agent, and how special is that to you compared to the people that don't have that?
Well, I think it's extremely unique and rare. And it's funny when you were saying that, it hit me. My relationship with Blair is almost like three different ways because I'm one of his talent. I've been with him, I think, since the beginning of when he took off on his own and started doing his own thing, working for another agency and then starting his own agency. And so, I've been his talent for over 25 years. I'm also a producer, so I work with Blair on the other side of the spectrum from the standpoint that he is, the representation for these talent. And as a producer, I will talk to him as their agent, not my agent. And then we're also very good friends. He's actually, don't tell him this, he's my best friend in LA. And it's just from those years of a relationship that I just have a lot of love for Blair, and he's probably been the most important and instrumental part of my 30 plus year career as both a host and a producer. And he's one of those kind of guys that it's almost like how you go to some people go to their father for advice on different things. I will often call Blair for something nothing to do with the entertainment world, just to get his input, because he has great perspective. He's wickedly smart. I know that comes from his parents because they're very sharp themselves. And one of the things when I think about what makes him unique and different, he's great at building relationships. And on both sides, not just his talent, but also the clients. Everybody likes Blair. Whenever anybody says to me, who you rep by, or who you deal with, Blair Taylor. Oh, Blair, he's hilarious. I love him. He's funny, all that. And I think that's because he's very fair. From the talent standpoint, he fights for his talent. He's always looking for a win-win, though. So he's a fierce advocate, but I just know that I can trust he's gonna take care of it, and he's always had my best interest at heart. He's very funny. I don't know if he's demonstrated that, if you all been talking.
He's landed a few jokes here.
Couple.
Yeah, he's not as funny as he thinks, but he's very funny. Like I said, he's very smart. Wait, what do you want me to say, Blair? Oh, he's handsome.
Say he's very smart again.
Handsome.
Say very smart again.
Say he's very smart again.
Yeah, did you
He's
even get that email?
again.
Are you not reading off the email he sent you?
I'm
earlier that
reading.
He wants you
He's
to say?
handsome.
I know
Oh
Tom's
my
got a
God!
list. Tom has a list. He's like, I know
A
Tom.
list.
I know Tom.
He's got a list.
Wait, true or false? You have stuff
Blair
written
sent it
down
to
right
me.
now.
Yeah, what?
Are you reading off something right now?
I'm reading what you sent me. You sent me to say you're handsome and sexy. That's all I'm reading.
And you're getting 20% of this own cut too.
Right.
That's it. Hey,
Oh,
Tom.
he doesn't get a cut of my money. No, he does it out of the kindness of his heart.
Of course
That's
I do.
so nice of you.
Yes.
Wow.
It's a freebie.
Yeah, you're that's amazing. Tom, I want to follow up with the last question, which
Yeah.
is, you're
Sure.
talking about how proud you are of him and sort of a way, but I want to ask, what is the most proud moment you've had with him for your career, or that you've seen him do so well, and through his success? What can you speak on that as far as your moment of proud?
When I'm proud of him,
Yeah.
or when he was proud of me. Okay, when I'm proud of him, let me think about that.
It's about me.
It's about him, Tom. Come
Oh
on.
shoot, yeah, I forgot. Darn it! Can we get it back to me after that?
Yeah. We're gonna cut that out. But yeah, you can go ahead and talk on you after.
Okay. Watch how I circle this back to me. Watch this talent. So, it's funny. One of the first deals Blair struck for me when I got into hosting was for a product called AppSlide. It's like for the, for your core. Gosh, I need that right now for sure. I got to find that. Anyway, and that deal was I got a quarterly guarantee. I got like royalties, but a quarterly guarantee of $2,500 per quarter. And the AppSlide was a monster hit. And because I was newer to hosting, that was fine. But I started realizing, oh my goodness, I think there's a lot of money left at the table here because my guarantee is a max. It's capping out at this $2,500 every quarter. And so the next show I did with the same company was for this Miracle Blade knives. And he saw what happened, and he's like, "You're not going to have a cap on this one. Whatever it makes, you're going to share in your royalty percentage." And so he set it up that way. You know, he convinced them, look at the hit that Tom was part of. And I'll never forget getting the call from him when the very first quarterly check, the royalty statement came in. And I was with a group of other actors, and he called and he said, "Guess how much you made on your first quarterly check for Miracle Blade?" And I was like, "What?" And I thought he was going to say like 8 or 10,000 or whatever. And I think it was around $50,000. And I just started laughing, you know, especially then. I mean, that was crazy to me.
20 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think many hosts were getting, you know, deals that were open-ended like that. And I wasn't anybody at the time, especially. And so people were like, what happened? And I wanted to tell them, but I knew they'd all be so jealous. So I didn't.
They don't want to become hosts.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they think my work.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That pops to mind that I could tell he was as excited as I was when he shared that. So the victories are great. Now, he's also tried to kill me. You know, he convinced me to ski down a Black Diamond, and I'm not a skier. And I thought I was going to die, and I think he enjoyed it a little bit. But,
I would have enjoyed that.
I did. I did.
But no, I mean, the bottom line, I'm just proud to have him as my agent and my friend. And I really mean this. I'm not reading this off some paper. I just, that's when you say most proud moment. It's just feeling good and knowing I would never, you know, when he retires is when I'm done, I guess, because I wouldn't want to be rep by anybody else. So
Yeah, you know,
does that answer your question?
Yeah, that was sweet.
It's interesting because I've got to go through my career, really, because you've been there since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of got to grow up together through this, playing very different roles in the process, right? So
Yeah, with a lot of overlap too.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think of you as a client of mine anymore, and I don't think the first word probably that comes to your head is agent first.
No,
I mean,
no.
Yeah,
Were you leading me into that?
no, not at all. I mean, you and I just had dinner a week ago together.
Yeah.
We just got together
Yeah.
and just had dinner.
I always enjoy it. You know, there's a rule of thumb I live by is when the phone rings and I see who's on it, am I excited to pick it up or I'm like, oh God. And Blair is one of those, when I see he's calling or text, I always look forward to it. I look forward to talking to him. We always have a good time, but we get into really good, deep conversations too. We have a great friendship on many levels, and he's part of the family. Like, he's known, you know, my daughter Lexi, who's 22, since she was born.
Yep.
The agency was at repped her. So he's just been very intertwined. I can't get rid of him, Zach. I cannot get him out of my life. He's just following me around.
I don't see why you would want to. He's great.
It's true.
Listen,
I'm perfect.
hey, remember when we talked about the humbleness in the beginning?
Oh, yeah,
Come
yeah,
on,
Oh, thanks.
Oh.
Well, you know, Tom, I love you, and I have a lot of clients that I have worked with over the years, and you know you hold a very, very special place. You know that.
Meaning that I'm your favorite client?
Uh-oh. On the spot.
Oh, wow.
On the spot.
Okay, you can say it. Nobody's
You
going to
know-
listen to this.
I will tell you, I have probably learned, I've probably learned more from you than any of my clients, just in terms of how to be a better agent. And for that, you are the best client I've ever had. Have you made me the most money? No. Have you made me the second most money?
No, for sure not.
Wait,
Have you made me the third?
Was there a time? Don't go down the list. Was there a time though when I was your biggest producer?
100%.
Earner?
100%.
Yeah.
Yep, just right underneath Forbes Riley.
Oh gosh. And you know, Zach, the reason I know there was a time I was the biggest earner, and I know when it was because that's the last time I sent Blair a Christmas gift. He hasn't got one in several years.
Yeah, that's how we justify the Christmas.
But now you're giving now you're buying my child birthday presents, so that's better.
That's true. He's good. I have a special bond with Porter, who forgets me every time I leave the house. But when I come back, I think we end up connecting it.
Yeah, you do.
He's great. He's got a great family. Yeah.
it is interesting because and
Speaking of which,
kids, my little kid
Oh,
is
look at
here.
that! I cued him
He
in.
just showed up.
He just showed up.
He just showed up. No, I love you. I don't think I've ever said to another client that I love them. I mean, it goes above and beyond for sure.
Yeah, I
You know
agree.
that.
I agree with that. Yes. Yes.
Well,
Nice.
thank you,
I have.
Tom.
I've run out of good things. Let me look. Hey, let me look at my paper. See if I have any other good things to say.
You did say
No,
handsome,
that
right?
was
You said
it.
handsome.
Yeah, did you put handsome
I
in there? I
w-
don't remember that one.
Handsome and sexy. You told me to say,
Did you
and
say
I got it
thin?
in.
Thin.
No,
thin.
no, I did not say
Oh,
thin.
there we go. I gotta
Depends on the week.
Depends on where y'all went
True.
to dinner
Yeah.
that night.
True.
That's true.
Hey, well,
That's
thank you,
true.
Tom. I really appreciate you coming on for this, and not only that, but that was really, it was kind, wholesome, awesome. It sounds like you guys have an amazing relationship, and I'm it's awesome. And I think people are gonna hear this and go, "Wow, I need a friend like that." So thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. You guys have fun.
All
Talk to you
right.
later.
Thanks.
Tom.
Bye.
Bye.
It's awesome.
I love that guy.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah. I would trust him with my life for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
Gun to your head. Who's gonna save the day? Tom Jourden.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go ahead and wrap this up with a little bit of advice, okay? Because I feel like advice is something that everyone asks for. We go to, and I explained this yesterday, or like to a couple people. It was like, you go to those like movies, you go to like film festivals, and you hear, what kind of advice would you like to give to the young, blah, blah, blah. But truthfully, I think there's a lot to learn from you, Blair. And I want to know, for somebody that's trying to break into the agency world, is there any advice that you'd give to them? Just somebody who's fresh.
To be an agent, right? Not to be an actor.
To be an agent. And we'll get to being an actor.
You have to be willing to step outside your advice. I'll just give some things. You have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone, because you have to be a little bit of a bulldog, right? You have to fight for other people, and that can be really uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
Because you're being asked to balance the needs of a production company or a marketer and the desire for that talent to want to work. And respectfully, talent have a tendency to give in way too early and sell themselves short. And it's our job to elevate them. And that involves taking some risk and being willing to stick your neck out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So you have to, and that's a very uncomfortable place to be. The other thing I think is to be a really good person, and it's so basic, be nice to people, and they'll be nice back. Not just your clients, but the producers you work with, the casting people you work with. Be nice. Be someone that, Tom was very kind when he said, when people hear your name, he's nice, he's fun, he's friendly. That is true, because I made that true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to be well received. I want people to enjoy being around me. There's a lot of agents that aren't. And I think there's success in doing it both ways. You can be an adversary to everyone that wants to hire your talent, or you can be welcoming and open and not feel like by doing so is a compromise to your ability to get them the best deal.
And you'll get more out of other people for that.
Yeah, I like to go through my day knowing I'm being nice and kind to people in the process rather than adversarial.
100%.
Right? I just feel better at the end of the day.
What do you think that people can learn from your success? Is there something, a specific learned thing that you learned over time that you'd love to give somebody else?
When you're your own boss, you have no one to be accountable to except for yourself, right?
Right.
And I know a lot of people that are their own bosses, and they spend their days doing things except for what they should be doing, right? I'm really motivated by success, so I work. That motivates me. You have to know what motivates you, right? So you have to be willing to put in the work, and it's all basic, and it's stuff we've heard a million times. But no one sets my alarm the night before to get up at 5 a.m. to be at the computer. I do that, when I would sometimes just want to sleep in. So you have to be willing to persevere and push through and put in the hours and do what you have to do. You just have to, I go on vacation, I take my computer, right? We're having wonderful times where you should be sitting at a beach and sometimes you're in a hotel room checking an email. So the level of your success is it's directly related to the amount of work that you put in. And I just find a lot of people don't put in that much work.
For sure. And I think to kind of wrap this up, first off, I'm more curious because I want to ask, how do you maintain the energy that I see in you? Like, you have a really amazing energy. Like, are you a very healthy person? Are you a coffee drinker? Like, how do you maintain the energy throughout your day?
First and foremost, I think it's because I have a really great attitude. I wake up in a good mood pretty much every day.
Me too.
Yeah, that's who I'm going to be.
It's
that's
a fresh
decision.
start.
Yep, I can make a decision every day to be happy, to have a good outlook. I do that. Some people wake up and they're like, I'm just not that guy.
No, never understood it either.
Yeah.
I wake up like this.
Yeah,
Every day.
I know.
Let's go.
That's how I am.
This is it.
Yeah, and I think
today's
that's important, right? It sets everything. I work out. I take care of my body, but I also enjoy it, and I have good dinners, and I treat myself, and I honor myself, and I give myself vacations. I work hard and I play hard. I do both those things.
great.
And when you create a really good balance, there's nothing better, right? You get to work hard and then reward yourself. Some people work really hard and they don't reward themselves. And some people, all they do is reward themselves. You know what I mean?
For sure.
You have to do both. And I do think you have to, while you're taking care of yourself mentally and emotionally, you have to take care of yourself physically to a degree. I incorporate fitness into my, into my day, and some
it helps
days,
with those energy levels.
yeah, just
Pushes you more.
I mean, this morning, Zach,
Yeah,
before you,
walked right
6:30, I was out with my trainer,
He's got the gym. Yeah,
doing my thing.
doing his thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now, am I the slimmest guy in the gym?
Yes. It's your gym. You're the only one in there.
That's true. Right. But it's important to take care of the temple.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah, it's important.
I can't thank you enough for this. You've given us so much, and
Nice.
there's a whole other episode
Of course.
of 100 million other questions,
You're
including.
welcome back.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope with continued success that we will talk again.
Perfect.
And thank you so
Well,
much.
you're going to be busy interviewing all these amazing people. You're doing so great yourself.
Thank
so
you.
I wish
Thank
you
you.
the best.
Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Awesome.
All right, buddy.
All right.
All right.
Okay, that's it. And now we got to figure out how we exit the show. We started talking about where we're gonna sit, right?
Oh yeah. So
And
maybe
now
maybe I just get up and walk
Maybe
away.
we both get up and walk away.
Bye, guys.